Where do you land on the use of AI and how do you use guardrails in your own business to like leverage AI but not over leverage AI?
AI it's one of those topics that can be very polarizing, and I also have a love-hate relationship with it sometimes. I have a deep tech background and spend a lot of time working with AI and systems, but we also think that it's not a type of tool that waves a magic wand and it kind of just solves everything. Maybe someday, but we're not there, and I don't see a path to it in the near term. What we try to do is to use AI in a couple of ways. So one is we were an AI company, quote unquote, before things like ChatGPT came out. So those are some of the dimensions that are happening underneath the hood that people may not even really realize that that's happening. But that's very different than the ChatGPT types of AI. We also use those types primarily to help people make sense of their data or to navigate some of the behavioral changes that they're trying to make. So a couple of examples would be when you get a body composition analysis, even if you go into a lab and do a DEXA, you get this like printout report that gives you all these details and reference ranges and all this data. If you're lucky, somebody will explain it to you, but often cases they just give it to you and you're kind of like left to figure it all out. What does it actually mean if your android gynoid ratio is 1.2? You can go Google that and look up reference ranges, but it's kind of nice if there's a system that is already built in that's when you do that scan, it's just like, here's the ones that are out of range, here's the ones that are in range, here's what they mean. And then kind of you can have a conversation about then translating that into your practical context. If your goal is to maintain your health and well-being, you may not need to get overly excited if one of your markers is slightly out of range. But if someone gives you a PDF report and you see something that's slightly in the red, you might be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Do I need to care about that? So we use AI to have that conversation. And then another way is in helping people with behavioral support. When we work with coaches and practitioners, sometimes we get the question like, oh, is this replacing the need for me? And I often will ask like, are you on call 24/7? Maybe in some cases, if it's a very concierge white glove service, yes, but 99% of the time, no. The goal is not to replace the coach or to replace the relationship, to replace planning and the kind of more complex thinking that goes into coaching, but it's to augment you. AI can really help them cover those bases on those basic behaviors so that they can focus on the more complex stuff and the relationship.